Hey everyone, real quick before we get into it, don't forget to
like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Check out the podcast on Podbean. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and Google Play.
And with all that said and done, let's get to it.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to episode 125 of the Hella Average Gamescast. We are back for another week of, as I like to say, in-your-face gaming. And I've got Jeremy with me. No Carmen today, but that's all right. Me and Jeremy are going to hold it down. What's happening, amigo?
Dude, what's up?
How has your week been so far?
Not bad. Not bad. Had today off, got tomorrow off. So this is like a Saturday night for me.
Very nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's very rare you get a weekend in the world of retail, as we were just saying.
Oh, it's a rare occurrence, man. It's that unicorn right there.
Well, speaking of unicorns, we're here to talk about the next best thing besides unicorns, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is video games, of course. So, before we get going, we've got a good week of news. A lot of it came today, actually, so that's pretty neat. And kind of a little bit of, I would say, housekeeping. As BlizzCon just started today, we got some big news, but it's still going on, so we might miss a little bit of the BlizzCon news by the time you hear this on Monday. But we'll go ahead and clean up everything we miss on next week's episode. But before we get into that, Jeremy, why don't you let the world know what you've been playing that's been super awesome?
I've been playing a lot this week.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I pumped a lot more hours into that Trails of Cold Steel game. It's really latched onto me now. I'm super into it. About chapter 3 out of 10 now, so I'm making some headway. I also played Medieval, the remake. Picked that up this week. And I would say I'm probably about 60% through with it, 70% maybe.
Now, I know that's been kind of divisive with some people, so what are your thoughts on that?
I freaking love it.
Nice, very good to hear.
I think it's a fantastic game. The graphics are fantastic. The music is amazing. They finally gave it a full orchestra. They kept all the original 90% of the original voice actors from the original game, which is fantastic. I love how the gargoyles sound. The game actually plays smoother than the original. I found stages that gave me crap when I was younger are now much easier, just because they control a little bit better and they're a little more forgiving. And I've just been playing the heck out of this. I've been getting all the chalices. I'm playing to 100% this thing, because I was looking at the trophy list, and I don't see why I couldn't do it. So this could be another platinum for me.
There you go. That's great to hear. I'm glad. It's on my radar too, but it'll be a little bit.
Oh, I recommend it. It's only like $30, so brand new.
Great price.
Yes. And yesterday, I picked up Luigi's Mansion 3 for my Switch.
You know what? It's funny because I was thinking about that game today, and I thought Jeremy might pick it up.
Mm-hmm. And I did.
Have you played it yet?
I have. I probably played it for about, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 hours.
Okay. Early impressions?
It's okay. I'm amazed. I've been seeing a lot of phenomenal reviews for it online, and I guess it's just from Luigi Mansion fans. I've only played the second one on 3DS, and I just think this one's okay. I mean, graphically, it looks very nice, but, I don't know, it hasn't clicked with me. It gets very tedious. You basically just move from room to room and suck everything up with your vacuum and move on to the next one. And eventually you fight a ghost, and they're all very samey, save for, the boss ghosts. One thing I will say I can't stand in this game, well, 2 things I can't stand in this game. One is Professor Egad. He's he won't shut up. I even turned off his little hints, and he still won't shut up. You know, they encourage you to explore in the game, and he'll still pop in every 5 minutes. Oh my god, what are you doing? Go to the next objective already.
That is atrocious.
It sucks. And the other thing that really irks me is the controls, which I've only seen 1 or 2 outlets actually talk about this, but when you move Luigi with the left stick, and you aim with the right, but it doesn't aim like you would think it would aim, like any other first-person shooter or third-person shooter. It's omnidirectional, which means if you press right on the stick, he just turns around right. And if you press left, he just turns around left. And you press up, he just points directly up. There's no up and left, up and right. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So how do you, how do you get enemies that are do enemies jump in the game or fly?
They do. That's all they do is fly.
Well,
So,
how do you get them if you're not right under them? Do you have to be like right under one of the main directions, like
no,
left, right, up, or down?
No, when you're sucking them, you have to stun them with your flashlight, and then I just kind of like start sucking, and I just kind of jostle the stick around until it eventually snags them. It's not that big of a deal in fighting ghosts, but it's a pain in the ass when like you're trying to collect money in the game too. So like dollar bills will fly in the air, and it's a pain in the ass to try and suck them up when you're trying to aim and you're like, stop turning right, just aim, just get that thing right there, or like when you're trying to aim like your flashlight or your suction cup shooter and all that stuff. So I mean I
know how you are, because I'm kind of the same way. The controls can really kill a game.
Yeah, like it's funny because I heard people complain about the controls in Medieval, and I think those controls are good, but then I hear people saying that the controls in Luigi's Mansion are fantastic. I'm like, no, they're not. They're just, I mean, they're not terrible. They're not game breaking, but I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. You can't even change the controls in the menu either. I mean, it's just, the only option is just to change from omnidirectional to just turn right and turn left, and that's it. So.
Okay, so 3-4 hours in, we'll call that early impressions. What do you think in this game is going to sit with? Like, is it going to be a finisher, or is it got a decent review? Where are you at on it so far?
It's like a 7.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. It's
decent. I'll probably finish it, not anytime soon. This is nowhere like I was thinking this might have been a potential Game of the Year contender. Not in the ballpark. I've already played 5 other games in this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had some insight on it, because I was going to pick it up, but later. So
I would definitely recommend later. It was Halloween. I was like, this would be a perfect time, and I got it for like $50. Got it at Walmart. So, but I wouldn't. Unless you're a diehard Luigi Mansion fan, I don't think it's worth $60.
Okay, good to know. Note that, Nintendo fans. Note that. Anything else, Jeremy?
That's it.
I actually did something pretty cool that I haven't done in about 6 or 7 months. I cut my Xbox on, and I applied to Games Pass Ultimate, and I got Outer Worlds, and I freaking love that game. It is really cool.
Man, go ahead.
I was going to say it gives me, and I think you might be something that you were about to say, but it gives me the same vibe I got from the old Bethesda games.
I was going to say, man, how are you able to play this game without glitching through the world and buying...
That's just it. There's no glitching.
Having your in-game currency taken from you from bottomless pit storage units.
I'm telling you, I'm probably, 8 to 10 hours through the game, and no glitches so far. It controls well. The stories are fun. I kind of made a character who doesn't necessarily do a lot of fighting. He can shoot long guns, but he talks really. He's got a really high intelligence and speaking. So like I can do stuff like intimidate and lie and persuade. So that's provided some pretty cool options. And what's cool in there is since you upgrade that, then you can have the option to miss some fights, but they give you a crap ton of XP if you choose those options. You know what I'm saying? So let's say that you intimidate someone. Like I intimidated someone to call off their guards. So I would have fought like 6 people and got the XP. Well, they gave me like 2,000 XP for doing that. So you don't miss on anything.
Kind of like a side quest almost.
Yeah. So I love the game. It looks great. Obviously, I mean, this isn't necessarily what I would call a post-apocalyptic type world. It's more of you've moved into space, kind of.
Yeah, like a No Man's Sky future sci-fi.
Yeah, a big corporation is kind of taking everything over, and you're working
Weyland
for
Yutani.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So it's a pretty cool little environment. The standard quests you would think. Like I did one where I picked, do I send power to the deserters or do I send power to this big city? Kind of things like that. Cool stuff. So that's been fun. And, we've echoed it, but just having it up again and looking through it, man, Games Pass Ultimate's a heck of a deal. Some of the games on there are phenomenal. You get all the first-party titles, so, like, all the main ones are there. And, I'm paying $1 for the first month, and then it's $15 after that. It's really... Man, it's unbeatable as far as the value it gives.
I gotta say though, man, unfortunately though, Outer Worlds, no $100 a year pass, so 0 out of 10.
Right, no 100 pass. I haven't looked actually, but I've not seen one thing for microtransactions yet, so it's definitely not in your face. But I haven't gone and actively looked for it.
I would think if they do anything, they do like DLC, which is fine.
That's what I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides that, I've just been doing the normal Borderlands. Played a little bit of Rocket League with Carmen and our buddy Will. And Borderlands are pretty much just grinding, getting gear and stuff like that. We're in the end game now, so we're playing on Mayhem 3 very easily. So that's the highest Mayhem right now. And actually, as we speak right now, Call of Duty is downloading on my PlayStation. So I will have some updates for you next week on that. But there's a reason behind the madness, which we'll talk about later in the show. I think Jeremy knows where I'm getting with that. Due to some reviews I've seen online of other games.
Still, there's other better games you could spend $60
There
on.
are, but, I think we talked about it and I finally caved.
Saying Medieval, half price, better game.
But that's neither here nor there, Jeremy. 'Cause, do you know what time it is?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some news.
All right. Thank you for that amazing, one-of-a-kind intro, Jeremy. But he got it right. It's time for some news. And let's kick it off with some pretty awesome news. We're going to start on the Sony front. And we got to kind of give a round of applause because Sony just hit their next milestone and quite possibly their last when it comes to sales. But they have they are now the second best-selling console ever, right behind the PlayStation 2.
Damn, so they got the PS4, the PS2, the PS1, and I do believe the PS3 is also in there, isn't it?
It's up there, yeah. When you include handhelds, because I went on Wikipedia, and they included handhelds, and I believe it went PlayStation 2, Nintendo DS, then PlayStation 4.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just talking about just PlayStation consoles.
Oh, yeah, PlayStation consoles are all pretty high up there.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think the PS3 is in the top 10. I'm not sure.
I don't have the whole list, but I know it was pretty high.
But still, you've got pretty much all your systems in the top 10 selling list, so that's a hell of an achievement.
That says a lot. I mean, you can't just look at sales numbers. I mean, a lot of people like to use those figures. It's a really good indicator, but I mean, you got to brag when you're consistently getting that kind of sale. Like they're doing the right thing.
And we talked about this too, because like as soon as you said that, I went online to see. Well, I wonder how much, how far they have to go to get to, number one. It's like another 50 million. I'm like, it doesn't have that much life left in it. I think at most it might reach 120 max. That's my highball. But
yeah, I agree. The PlayStation PlayStation 2 sold so many copies. And honestly, when you look at the sales numbers they have, there's always an asterisk there. They stopped giving sales data. So, I mean, it could be more than, I think it's like 152. It could be more than that. It could be like 160.
Well, see, I remember, too, that one of the reasons the PS2 sold so much was that even after the PS3 came, the PS2 kept selling. Like, they kept supporting this thing and making PS2s well into the PS3's life. I want to say it was almost until the PS4 came along they finally stopped.
Yeah, and it was a different market back then and in a different way because the PS3, if you remember, was so pricey. Like, what was it, like $700 or something at launch?
$600.
Yeah, $600 at launch. So,
yeah.
I mean, to me, it makes more sense to keep supporting that system that a lot of people had.
Yeah. But I mean, like, even that far into the PS3's life cycle, when it was finally picking up steam and it was much cheaper, it was still selling PS2s,
Yeah, Sony's got the, whatever the formula is, whatever that secret sauce is, Sony definitely has it. No doubt about that. Now, I'm in your camp, Jeremy. I don't think they make it past the PlayStation 2, but we still got to give them a round of applause. We got to, clap for them. I don't know that any console will knock out the PS2.
Well, obviously the Atari VCS will.
Obviously. I almost couldn't speak when you said that. It caught me off guard a little bit. I was like... massive sarcasm there. I was laying that on pretty thick. Oh, Jeremy. You probably had 5 people just cut us off right there.
Oh, I'll be surprised if it sells one.
No, it'll sell one. At least one.
I was going to say that I'm surprised to sell one because I don't think it's ever going to come out.
That is true. Now, that could be, it might not ever see the light of day. So then you'd be right. Let's move on with Sony. We got the free games this month, I mean. Well, not this month. Well, I guess it is. We're technically November 1st, so I can say that. The free games for November for the PlayStation Plus, as of this recording, the Games with Gold is not out, so that'll be next week's episode. But we've got some heavy hitters on the Sony front, Jeremy, and I am really excited for Neo and Outlast 2. I didn't get a chance to play Neo, but from you did, so you really got a lot of high praise for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's another Soulsborne type game, so that you have to die and constantly learn your enemies' patterns and stuff. But it's really fun. It's it's Japanese, so it's like samurai based and all that stuff. You can wield all kinds of different weapons and you just pick the one you like. I would say it's actually, I think, one of the harder Soulsborne games, maybe. But then again, I think you played Sekiro and you did much better than me in Sekiro, so you might do pretty well with this because I don't think it's as hard as Sekiro is.
You think it's not as hard, or is as hard?
Not as hard as Sekiro.
Okay.
Yeah. This is much more traditional Souls game. Not so much stealth oriented, more about combat. But I think you would enjoy it very much.
Well, I don't think I can beat it for free, so I'll definitely be giving it a shot.
As for Outlast 2, I played Outlast 1. I enjoyed it, but Outlast 2 didn't really appeal to me. I didn't like the change in setting. I also heard this wasn't quite as good. But, for free, might be worth just checking out to see if I even care so much. I already know the story's dumb because I've seen so many spoilers on it. It's just kind of eh. But it could still have some good, scares and moments and stuff.
I'm kind of in the opposite camp, which might be a good thing, is that I played Outlast 1, really enjoyed it, loved it. And I don't know anything about Outlast 2. Don't know about the setting, don't know any spoilers, so it could be a fresh, brand new game for me. So
I think I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I would suggest going into it fresh. I'm kind of glad I got spoiled because I would have been pissed if I was like, this is it. But only thing I can say is that it has nothing to do with Outlast 1. It's like its own. Okay. It's like its own thing.
I remember playing Outlast 1 on a whim. It was back when I just got home from college. I was at home, had buddies over. We were drinking. We cut all the lights off and just yeeted Outlast. Yeah. And it was fun, man. It was a good time. And it did have some genuine scares, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got it when it was like one of the few games I had my PS4 when it first came out because I was looking for something new to play. It was $15. I think it was around October. So I was like, yeah, why not? And I thought it was really good.
Awesome. So I think, honestly, Jeremy, I think this is a stellar lineup for November.
Yeah. Oh, this is super solid. I always love whenever they give us actual AAA titles. So
yes, and I really hope that Xbox follows suit and really kills it. I like when they both kind of compete and they're both got some good games out there.
I haven't seen Xboxes yet, but I'm sure they usually bring the game. They usually bring pretty good.
They have been for the last few months at least. They've been doing pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think Sony's offerings have been better the last couple of months, but Xbox hasn't been slouching either.
I agree. I can get behind that. They're not going to get knocked out of the game that easily, that's for sure. Moving right along, Jeremy, let's talk about Nintendo, and we're going to talk some more sales milestones, which is pretty cool. The Switch, and keep in mind, this might not sound like a big deal, but I'm going to kind of explain it. It's something that might open your eyes a little bit. The Switch just surpassed the Xbox One in lifetime sales. Now, that might be like, okay, that's cool, but here's what really makes you go, wow, is that the Switch has been around for 2 years, and the Xbox One dropped in 2013.
Wow, so it's been 6 years already?
6 years, and
wow.
I'm checking the old Google machine just to double check my math here, because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, but man, I just didn't feel like 6 years had passed since PS4 and Xbox One.
The Xbox One was released November 22nd, 2013.
Wow. Okay. So 6 years, and Switch has beat it. It's like 2.5.
2.5, getting closer to 3, but still.
Damn. That's like, whew.
I think March will be 3 years for the Switch. I think
the Xbox One has done well, but it's not been anywhere near as successful as the 360 was.
No.
It stumbled so hard out of the gate. It's very much the Xbox One has very much been Microsoft's PS3. It stumbled really hard out of the gate, and it had a lot of ground to cover. And it's been making up pretty well, but I think they're going to just remain in third place this generation. Like PS4 is going to take it, then Switch, and then Xbox One.
That's my sentiment exactly. I think they stumbled out the gate, and then they all of a sudden they realized what happened. They started making these moves to really get the consumers on board. And I would say for the last year and a half, maybe 2 years,
I'd say 2.
They have been killing it. I mean,
yes.
Doing everything right. Not when you compare them to PlayStation, a lot less missteps, on their end. So
not that they haven't made some missteps. Don't get me wrong.
No. They're not misstep free by any means. They're not totally clean. But comparing the two, they've done a lot less. And if they would have had these sales throughout the entire lifespan, this would be a different story, I think.
I think it was just Sony really brought it hard out the gates. And like I said, that E3 when they both announced their consoles, Xboxes was just so terrible, so awful. And then, Sony just came out and just basically said, hey, all that stuff they said, fuck that. We're not doing that. And that's what caused them to get ahead. But even still, that's a little off topic. I mean, just the fact that Switch was able to catch up this quick. Holy crap.
Yeah, and the Switch is trending up. I kind of wanted to look at the articles. There's a couple articles. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head. But the Switch is actually around, I think it was 17% higher sales this year than it was last year. So it's trending upwards.
I think also we were talking about would it ever beat the Wii in terms of lifetime sales.
We did. And Carmen said doesn't think that it will. Me and you are both in the same camp that we think it will.
I think it will. I think it can, just because the Wii just had such phenomenal sales because it was a gimmick, or no, I mean, it was a fad. It was that thing that everyone just had to have when it first released, and I think it had really good sales for like maybe the first 2 years, and then it just sharp decline because no one wanted it anymore. Everyone had it. The Switch, however, has just been very, very steady. It's always been selling well. It's not a gimmicky console. It's an actual legit console. It's got constant... That's something else. It has constant good games coming out for it. Not just a bunch of shovelware crap like the Wii had. So I think the Switch has a very good chance of surpassing the Wii. If it doesn't, it'll be Nintendo's second best-selling console of all time at the very least.
Yeah, and we said this a while back when we first heard about the Switch, and I think we said it several episodes and several times, that whatever Nintendo did, they had to get third-party support. Well, yes. They did it this time, and that is huge. That is huge. Not to say that Nintendo probably has the best first parties in the entire industry, but, I mean, and people toss them up between them and Sony. I think overall, track record, Nintendo has it, in my personal opinion. We could argue that, but what I'm saying is that they still needed more than that, and they got it this time. They have indies. They've got first parties. They have legit third parties that play well. They are downgraded to some degree, but they still look and play well, and that's really what's important.
Mm-hmm. Because that was the reason why, one of the many reasons why the Wii U failed so hard. It had a very good first-party lineup, but no third-party whatsoever. And again, with the Wii, they had very good first-party, and while it had a lot of third-party support, it was all crap. It was all just shovelware, mini-game collections, and whatnot.
It was Resident Evil 4 than everything else.
Pretty much. Yeah, like, holy crap. That and, like, No More Heroes, like, the only third-party games that anyone owned.
That's the only ones that stick out.
Yeah. But, like, Switch, like you said, like, they got The Witcher running on that thing. Granted, it's not great, but it's impressive they were able to even get that going. And
it's impressive to have a working version of that game to go. That just blows my mind,
Yeah. I mean, it's very much in the same boat as, like, the Doom port. It's far from the best, but if for, on the go, it's a damn impressive job.
You can't take that from Nintendo. They hit it right this time. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, absolutely. I was skeptical of the Switch when it was first announced. I didn't think it was going to be terrible, but I didn't think it was going to be nearly this big. And they've proven me wrong, and I'm glad because I own a Switch. Happily played a lot.
I remember talking with you about it. We were working together at that time, and we thought that the Switch was another gimmick with the Joy-Cons and the kickstand, that kind of thing. Yeah. And while it is to a certain extent, even if you want to call it a gimmick, it still works. I mean, do you want to play a game with a turned-around Joy-Con? No, you don't. Can you? Absolutely.
My biggest thing was I wasn't sure. My biggest concerns were battery life and power. And true, the battery life's not great, though they have improved that with newer versions. But power, I'm super impressed with it. I mean, it's obviously inferior to the PS4 and Xbox One, but it's a damn powerful little console. I mean, it's beautiful in handheld mode, and I've been playing mine a lot in docked mode on my little TV on my desk here, and it's just fantastic.
I agree. I play mine docked more than undocked.
Yeah, I mean, like, and aside from like some load time issues being a little bit longer in certain games, it's almost like identical in certain cases. Like, I got Fighter Z on there, and like I said, aside from load times being longer, it looks and plays exactly the same.
That's beautiful. That is a Nintendo PSA if I've ever heard one. Thank you, Jeremy, for the Nintendo sales that you just got them. Nintendo should pay you, Jeremy. That's what they should do.
They would more likely sue me.
Let's keep rocking and rolling. How do I want to go? I've got this ordered. You know what? I'm going to talk about. Let's talk about Death Stranding next. Okay.
Okay.
I should have did that with PlayStation, but I kind of ordered these bad, so I do apologize. But we had the embargo lifted on Death Stranding today. Okay. And these are early reviews. Haven't got our hands on it, so we're basing everything we're seeing off reviews. And I would say, and I think Jeremy kind of echoed it, the overall consensus is this game is okay. Now, it's also polarizing. I've seen some people hate it, some people love it. So I think that's where your okay reviews are coming in. But almost unanimously, it is agreed that this is basically a fetching walking sim. And I think quite literally you are, you're picking up stuff from one area and taking it to another. That's the point of the game in some parts.
Yeah, I mean, that's everything I've seen says that the graphics are fantastic. The acting and mocap is very, very good. The biggest issues I seem to see come from the gameplay, just it being kind of just boring, which is I was really afraid of that. I've also heard the story's convoluted, but that's trademark Kojima right there. I was expecting this to be. I wasn't expecting like across the board, just like it's okay. I was expecting more like, oh, this is a 10 out of 10, or oh, this is the worst game ever. Because that's more like Kojima's style, you know. So like I saw like Game Informer gave it a 7. I think you said IGN gave it a 6.8 or something.
Yep.
And from what I've read, I'm not picking this up anytime soon. This will definitely be something I'm going to wait for a massive price drop, because I'm still interested in it, but this is far from being I have to play right now. This is more like, oh, it's $20. I'll check it out. Can't go wrong.
You know, unfortunately, I tend to agree. I don't know what I expected from it. I don't know what I wanted.
I didn't know either. I still have no idea what the hell the game's about.
But I don't think it was this. And I'll tell you, and I told you guys on the group chat, some of my biggest pet peeves in gaming are inventory management and fetch quests. And it seems like that's what this game is, like a lot of it. Mm-hmm. So because of that, that's kind of what I hinted at earlier. I decided to wait, and I went and bought Call of Duty. But that's neither here nor there. But because of these reviews, and it wasn't just me looking at scores this time. This got me to actually read these reviews. And I usually skim over reviews or kind of get the quick notes version, but I was reading these things, and the themes were echoed across the majority of reviews that had me thinking that I know for a fact that this is not the game that I want to play, at least right now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, because usually when a game comes out, like Call of Duty, for instance, I expect to get 8s. So I see an 8, I'm like, okay, it's just more of the same. Or, even like a Nintendo game, I expect to get high scores. But like, say a new Zelda comes out, and it gets like a 6 out of 10. I'm reading the hell out of that review, because I want to know exactly what went wrong. Or if I see something that looks like absolute garbage, and it gets like a 10 out of 10, I read that, because I want to know, wow, how is this so good? So I was in the latter on that one, or the former in that. I was expecting Death Stranding to get like 9s and 10s, and then like I'm seeing these 7s and 6s and maybe a couple 8s here and there, and I was just like, wow, I wonder what went wrong. And sure enough, they were, like I said, they were all saying the same thing, just kind of boring gameplay. And I'm like, man, that sucks.
It does. Now, this is not Hella Average Gaming saying it's a bad game or the game sucks. I have seen people, especially on Twitter, saying they really enjoyed it. It's one of their favorite games. And, of course, that's going to happen. People are going to love this. So if you love it, great. Tell us about it. We want to know.
Yes.
We're basing this, kind of forming our own opinions off the reviews we read. So
exactly.
We want to hear your thoughts. Let us know on YouTube, in the chats, whatever. Let us know what you're thinking. And we're going to play eventually. It's just it went from being something we had to have to all of a sudden we're like, I don't know anymore. And now we're waiting.
Yeah, I mean, like it. I'm again, I'm not saying this is a terrible game in any way, shape, or form. It's just this day and age, there's so many games to play. I only have so much time. I only have so much money. I can't. If I could, I'd buy every game I was even remotely interested in day one. But I have to start rationing. Like most people, you play what you can, and you start prioritizing. And unfortunately, Death Stranding just didn't quite hit it. So maybe in the future. And if you're playing it and loving it, fantastic. And if you play it and hate it, I'm sorry.
Fantastic as well. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so we'll move on from that. But as we get more hands-on impressions, we'll get kind of the internet's take on it, obviously. We'll kind of mention that, I'm sure, moving forward. Let's end it with... Well, you know what? Actually, we got a couple more. I was going to end it with BlizzCon, but I forgot that Ubisoft made a kind of a big announcement.
That's true.
And they have actually pushed back. And originally the article, the title of the article I saw on IGN was that they were now going to be next-gen games. Turns out these are going to be mixed generation. They're going to be PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox 5 PS2. Or Xbox 2 PS5 games.
You mean Xbox Scarlet? Or whatever
yeah, Xbox Scarlet, whatever they're going to call it.
God, come on, Microsoft. Make some sensical naming choices with your consoles for once.
Exactly.
Golly.
But we got, for sure, we've got Watch Dogs going to be a late PS4, I'm assuming early PS5 game.
Probably next year, I would think.
Yeah, next year. We've also got Gods and Monsters.
That'll probably be a couple years from now, I would think.
And then what was the third one? I just blanked. I don't even have the thing pulled up anymore. Man, oh man.
To the internet.
To the Google rabbit hole. But what does that say? So here's what I'm wondering. And I think in the article, they were saying that because the Division and because Ghost Recon...
Rainbow Six.
Oh, Rainbow Six, what's the name of it, actually?
Rainbow Six, Quarantine, Watch Dogs, Legion, and Gods of Monsters. Ghost Recon's not listed.
Yeah. What I think happened and what they kind of echoed in the article is that, Division did well, but it still underperformed for them, for their expectations. Same thing with Ghost Recon. So,
yeah.
I think they're going back to the drawing board, and that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I heard they had like a massive drop in sales or something. Like a lot of their stock prices went down.
They did, yeah. They got hit real hard for some reason. I mean, and obviously it's because their last two titles haven't lived up to expectation.
Well, one of them we at least know why.
Yeah, for sure. And the Division 2, I didn't quite understand. I mean, it's a good game. I thought it sold well, but I guess they had higher expectations.
They never said it didn't sell well. It just didn't live up to their expectations. If you're expecting to sell 10 million copies and you only sell, 5 million, that didn't live up to your expectations.
Right. It makes me wonder what they must have had super high hopes for. I'm sure they did. It was a big game for them, but
my best guess is maybe their production costs went up. So it probably made them money, but you got to keep in mind, with investors, it's not about making money, it's making a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, it's all about the bottom line.
That game can be a success, but if it's not a big enough success, they can consider it a failure, and they just move on to something else.
I think they said the next Assassin's Creed will be exclusively next gen.
I'm doubtful on that. I think the next one will be cross-platform.
Really?
Whatever the next Assassin's Creed, because they're probably working on it right now.
I guess so. Yeah, that makes sense. But did I not hear that? Maybe it was an opinion. No, I can't remember. I thought I did hear that.
You and I were talking earlier, and I said the next Assassin's Creed will be both platforms, and then the next one after that will be exclusive to PS5.
Maybe that's what it was. That's what it was. I was getting all of our game talk confused.
yeah, because they're working on the new Assassin's Creed right now, because they seem to be doing every other year, and it'll probably come out next year. It'll definitely be on Xbox One and PS4, and it'll probably also get an up-res version next gen consoles. And then Assassin's Creed, whatever after that, they'll all be exclusive to next gen.
You know what else is, and this is kind of off topic a little bit, but they also said that there's not going to be a Battlefield game next year. They're taking it off for Apex to focus on that.
Is there a Battlefield game this year?
Battlefield 5 came out this year, or late last year. One of the two. I can't remember.
They usually do it every year, right? To compete with Call of Duty.
Yeah, they have been. So now they're taking a year off.
Oh, okay.
They're focusing on Apex this year. So you know what though? I've seen, and I guess you've seen in the past. You remember when they took off Assassin's Creed for a couple years, and they came back with the best. Yeah, was it 1 year? I thought they did too. But,
it was 1 year.
But they came back with what was kind of said to be the best Assassin's Creed in a while. So they've had some success taking off.
Well, I didn't think it was that good, but when you're going up against the likes of Syndicate and Union or Unity, it's not much of an improvement.
I didn't have too much of a gripe with Syndicate, but that's just, how I am.
Well, it was better than Unity, but you'll never beat Black Flag, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's universally touted as the best Assassin's Creed.
That one or 2. A lot of people like either one of those.
I do like 2. I really liked Assassin's Creed 1. I loved Altair. His character, I loved everything about it.
Assassin's Creed 1 was good. I do think 2 improved in pretty much every way, though. Better story and all that. And I think, honestly, 2 had the best story of the entire series. 4, you're a pirate. So what else can I say? That's why it was so damn good.
I think that I stopped. I played Black Flag, and then that was it. So I played Syndicate. It was free 1 year, and I played a good bit of it, and it was fun, and then I just stopped.
I stopped after Unity. I got that for cheap. I played it for maybe a couple hours and I just stopped. It wasn't. It was after they fixed it too, and it wasn't bad. It was just kind of dull. After going on the high seas and being a pirate and finding treasure and killing whales and sharks and stuff, to be limited to one city and it just felt dull.
You couldn't go back, could you?
No, and it's the same thing with Odyssey and all these other ones. They just don't do anything for me anymore. I'm done with Assassin's Creed personally. I've never touched another one. I don't think they could possibly do anything to bring me back in the series, but I know they're gonna keep making them and making a ton of money.
There is something they could do to bring me back, and that would be feudal Japan. I'll buy almost any game in that era.
If you think about it, Sekiro does that, but better.
They did. Sekiro did do it, but I think that this will be a different type of experience.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. Like if they did like actual like Japan with like ninjas and stuff, that might direct me back in.
Ninjas get everybody. All right, Jeremy, you ready to finish this podcast out?
I'm ready to take a nap while you talk about this.
No. You gotta stay with me on this, okay? I kind of alluded to it at the beginning. We had BlizzCon start today, and we've been kind of talking about some of the leaks and the announcements that we thought were going to happen. Well, the majority of those have come true, and like I said, more stuff's going to happen. But here's some of the news we got so far. They have officially announced for the first time that Diablo 4 is coming out. It's in development for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, which would tell me and Jeremy, I think, kind of you agree, this thing is going to be coming out sooner rather than later. Now, what that means, I don't know, but I think that I'm going to be getting a steak dinner from Carmen.
Yeah, I personally think it will launch at the earliest late next year. At the latest, I would say maybe mid-2021. Like, I don't think there's any way you're going to lose this bet now, but it might get a little closer to the wire than you think.
It may. And
the only reason I'm even saying that is because they actually did show gameplay.
Yeah, and they started with the reveal. It was a cinematic trailer, a really good cinematic trailer. But we know about cinematic trailers and what that means. Yeah, but they followed it up with a gameplay trailer, and not just like a short one. It was short, but they showed gameplay of 3 classes: the barbarian, the druid, and the sorceress. So that tells me they've got a lot of it going on. So that's exciting, and I think they're kind of classifying it as an MMO light. So picture, I don't know, maybe like Final Fantasy Online, but lighter, if that makes sense. More personalized stuff.
So Final Fantasy 14?
Maybe, I guess. I didn't play 14. I didn't know if that's what it kind of...
I didn't either, but that's an online one. That's like the online one.
You know how Blizzard is. It's like elements of WoW and Diablo at this point.
Oh, I thought it was just all dungeon looting and crap.
Well, that's what it is at heart. So you're top down kind of, you pick your character as a dungeon crawler, but they said there's going to be different elements, like more PvP stuff. There's going to be different elements that they're not that they have used before, but are kind of newer to that genre. So they're definitely trying to bring some fresh stuff into it from what it sounds like. And again, there's not a lot of information yet, but they're alluding that they're trying to do more than your normal Diablo while going back to the roots as well. So I don't know what that means, but that announcement happened. That's pretty cool if you ask me. Jeremy, you don't like Diablo, do you? You don't pick them up ever.
Oh, no. Blizzard doesn't make a single game I'm interested in. Like, I don't think they're bad games at all. They're just nothing I'm even remotely interested in.
Gotcha.
I just hate games with loot. I just hate the whole concept of loot. Because I like Darksiders 2 has loot, and it's like the main thing I hate about that game. I like the game, but I don't like the idea of constantly picking up weapons that are constantly just slightly better than the last one you got. Makes them all feel just pointless. Versus like if you just go for a while and you find a treasure chest, there's like this awesome sword that's way better than the one you've been using for the last couple hours. It makes it feel more like it has more weight. Like that's why I'm just not a fan of the whole loot system. Yeah,
I got you. Not a lot of people say that, but Jeremy hates loot, so
yeah.
He also hates cupcakes and really dislikes candy. So
puppies. The hell
and puppies. Yes.
Oh, looking cute with their wagging tails.
We got Overwatch 2 announced. And there is some news about it, but I don't think this is a normal Overwatch 2. I don't know how they're doing it. I know that your basic Overwatch players can still play certain modes with Overwatch 2 people. So I don't know if it's going to be a whole different game disc, a whole different game, a giant expansion to Overwatch. I don't know how they're doing it yet. But they announced it. There's a new character called Sojourn, I believe. And they've announced that there's going to be story modes in Overwatch now, character progressions. You can level up characters for different types of online play. You can do co-op play. And then, of course, PvP. So they're trying to, instead of doing strictly PvP and doing your normal modes that they're known for, they're trying to add more single-player stuff in there. And sounds like a leveling RPG type system to it. So it actually sounds pretty interesting. They're giving more people, I would say, modes to play to appeal to a wider audience, you know? Because they've got pretty cool characters. They've got pretty cool design. People might not just want to play PvP capture the flag stuff all the time or get from point A to point B. So this might give people a chance who normally wouldn't pick it up, like Jeremy, to say, I'll pick it up and play the single player. Even though Jeremy's still not going to pick it up, is he?
Nope. You don't know me very well, do you?
Jeremy was a bad example there. Just other people, not Jeremy. It could put that in their hands. And the last big news we have is the new World of Warcraft expansion, and that is Shadowlands. And I know that there's some obviously new areas. I think there's 2 new classes. And if you're still playing WoW, it seems like a pretty cool thing. I don't play anymore. I gave up WoW back in high school, but it took over my life for a good few years. But as of right now, that's all your BlizzCon news. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more happening. Super excited for Diablo 4. Super excited for Overwatch 2, even though I'm not totally sure what it is. Once we figure that out, I'll definitely report back. And probably next week we'll get Carmen's thoughts on it. But that's all I got, Jeremy. Is there anything else that I missed, or did you have anything you wanted to go before we get out of here?
Nah, man, unless you got some more Blizzard news I can just sleep through.
I don't. I know it's past your bedtime, but since we're done, why don't you go ahead and get us out of here? I know you can handle it.
All right, well, as always, check us out on Select Start. Playing some Smash right now. We got some other sweet titles coming up. Of course, as always, play on and stay
Hella
average.
Peace.